All right, so now we are on the individual identification information record, which is a form that FINTRAC makes us fill out. This one is a form that most people make mistakes on, so we're going to go through it. Basically, it talks about the address and your name and then the date that this was verified. So if you're talking to them today, you would put today's date. So this just talks about the address, your name, and when you verified their information. You'll see that it's set up in different types of A, B, and C, and D. And each one has components within it. So let's go through A. So A talks about the different types of ways that you can ID someone. A.1 is a federal, provincial, territorial government issued photo ID. So this is the easiest one, is that you get government ID and you use that to ID someone. The second one is a credit file method, which I don't know of anybody that uses this. It's just an opportunity if you wanted to use their credit file, but 99.9% of, I've never seen credit file used. And then dual ID process method is a way to ID someone if they don't have a government issued ID. And then an unrepresented individual reasonable measures record. So only complete this section when you're unable to ascertain the identity of an unrepresented individual. So let's just go through the first part because that's the one that you will be using the most. Talks about the type of ID. So you're going to say probably driver's license or passport. Those are the two that are most often used. The document identify number, that's the number of the passport or the number of the driver's license, where it was issued and what country, and then when it expires. So that's pretty straightforward. This is what most people use in order to ID someone, passport or driver's license. If you go down to dual ID, basically what you need is two other people to ID this person. So if you get to a point where you don't have government ID, give me a call and we will make sure that we go through that with you. And then unrepresented individual, this doesn't happen, so let's just not even worry about that. First section A, just use federal, provincial, territorial government ID. Easiest way to do it. Third parties. So take reasonable measures to determine whether your clients are acting on behalf of third parties by completing this section of the form. If you are not able to determine whether your clients are acting on behalf of a third party, but there are reasonable grounds to suspect there are, complete B1. If there is a third party, complete B2. So B1 says, is the transaction being conducted on behalf of a third party according to the client? Check 1, yes or no, and describe why you think your client may be acting on behalf of a third party. So who would a third party be? Maybe a buyer from a different province or a different country, and your person is acting on their behalf. So this is where you would fill in B1. B2, where there is a third party, complete this section. So if there is a third party, you would go to B2. If it's not being conducted by a third party, you need to check off no. So even if there is no third party, you still have to say there is no third party. Otherwise, you would check off yes and go to B2. So that's an important part. People miss this all the time. There is no third party here, and that's why you would do it. If there is a third party, then you would put their name and address, that type of thing in this information here. Then what I've done is the risk. And this is set up in a way to represent someone that is buying in the Kitchener-Waterloo area. I filled in all of the yes, no's, but make sure you go through it again. Again, we highly encourage that you're going to use the FinTracker app, so this is going to be an irrelevant after January. But in the meantime, just make sure you fill all of this out and then get a score here. Business relationship, part D, purpose and intended nature of the business relationship. Check the appropriate boxes, acting as an agent for the purpose of the residential property sale. Measures to determine the business relationship and to keep the client information up to date. Ask the client if their name, address, or principal business or occupation has changed. If it has, include the updated information on page 1. Keep all relevant correspondence with the client on file in order to maintain a record of the information you have to use to monitor the business relationship. So now as soon as you do a transaction with with another client, they're in a business relationship. So basically, you just have to fill this out that says, yeah, I asked their name and address and their occupation. If they're high risk, you have to do enhanced measures. If there's high risk, again, I think that we need to have a chat. So talk with me about that. And then suspicious transactions. Don't forget, if you see something suspicious during the transaction, report it to me. So real quickly, let's just go through this again. Part A, you're going to fill out this section, and then you're going to fill out this section here. A1, and make sure this is all filled out. Then you're going to go to B, and you're going to say no, because there's not normally a third party involved. C, double check that all of the check marks I put in there are accurate, and make sure that the score is accurate. And then part D, put the residential property and talk to them about, yeah, I double check to make sure that their name and address and principal, business, or occupation has not changed since I did the last transaction with them. And that should take care of this FINTRAC form. Although it looks a lot of information, it is pretty easy to go do, and it's pretty easy to fill out as long as you follow everything here. One part that often gets mixed is the nature of the principal, business, or occupation. So in here, you need to be specific. So if they are an engineer, you have to say an engineer for Shopify. If they are retired, you say retired from teaching. So you have to be specific because that's what FINTRAC will be looking for. Okay, hope that helps.